Hello everyone and welcome back to the Bonehead Collective, where I just want to start off by giving a massive thank you to all of the support that my Siren video has received. I genuinely wasn't expecting it to do as well as it has. Now, while I don't typically do follow-up videos to theories that I've posted previously, seeing the response to my Siren video kind of got my brain whirring on other ideas that could be interesting to see in Borderlands 4. Now, I don't want to oversaturate the channel with nothing but Borderlands 4 content, so on top of this video I have one other video planned where I want to talk about the 7th Siren, but for this video I want to talk about a new class that I think would be an interesting addition to Borderlands. This is also going off what Gearbox has said, that they are switching things up when it comes to the new Vault Hunters in Borderlands 4. Which at this point I'm just assuming that means they're moving away from the typical archetypes we've seen in previous games. How we've had 3 playable Sirens, how the 3 soldier classes we've had are all ex-military working for one of the large corporations, or the classes that don't really fit into a traditional archetype. I mean, we're talking Brick, the berserker who punches everything to death, Salvador, who gunzerks any and all weapons he wants whenever he wants, or Zane, who is a run and gun character who capitalizes on damage while being mobile. But the class I'm talking about today would more typically fit in line with our sniper characters like Zero, Flak and Mordecai, with being less focused on long-range sniper kills and being more focused on close to mid-range combat. And over the last week I've been brainstorming how this character could work. Admittedly, I haven't gone into as much detail as fleshing out every individual skill in their skill tree, percentages, buff numbers, all of that stuff. That's not me, I'm not smart enough for that. But what I have got, I feel, is fairly interesting and in line with Borderlands while expanding on what these previous sniper roles could do. And unlike my Siren video where I speculated that we could see Emily Swan be our next playable Siren, for the other 3 classes we literally have nothing to go on or work with. Some commenters in the Siren video pointed out characters that they would like to see playable, like Aslan or Pickle, but again, going off the assumption that Gearbox isn't really paying attention to what was previously established, it can be assumed that all of the characters are going to be brand new to the series. So as I am one to do, I have given this character a little bit of a backstory, while fleshing out their action skills and a few skills that they could have that would influence and affect these skills. So the class I would like to put forward to you today is called the Bounty Hunter.
The Bounty Hunter!
The Bounty Hunter is from the planet Artemis, just like Mordecai, and in between the pre-sequel and Borderlands 2, the Bounty Hunter worked for Handsome Jack and was tasked with hunting down any Vault Hunters that managed to escape one of the many traps or ambushes Jack set up to kill them. And over time, ultimately, Jack didn't see any need for this bounty hunter anymore, as less and less people would have wanted to become Vault Hunters, as rumours would circulate around the Vault Hunting community about what lies at the end of your employment with Handsome Jack. And because the bounty hunter was an obviously capable and deadly individual, and because he knew too much about what Jack was doing, Jack had arranged to have the bounty hunter killed as well. But knowing how Hyperion operates, the bounty hunter managed to escape Hyperion and go into hiding. Being an experienced bounty hunter and tracker, he would know all of the tricks of the trade and would know how to avoid any other bounty hunters that were coming for him. Not really knowing how much time has passed in between the end of Borderlands 3's Krieg DLC and the beginning of Borderlands 4, there is some wiggle room that the new Vault Hunters can be introduced at this point and establish themselves in the Crimson Raiders. Or at the very least, we start off with them as new initiates. But either way, we will see these new Vault Hunters, including the Siren and this Bounty Hunter, joining the Crimson Raiders and setting out amongst the stars to track down Lilith and investigate this newly revealed hidden planet. Now, as seen in the trailer for Borderlands 4, Psycho masks fall from Elpis and land on this new planet. So it could be assumed that any and all bandit factions still on Elpis will now make their way down to this new moon, and they will be the bulk of the enemy faction. We will see the Psychos and the other bandits return. And on top of that, the wildlife on this new planet will likely make up a good deal of the encounters we have in combat, and there may even be some kind of higher intelligence civilization on this planet, which we can basically say is a thing looking at the concept art that was released recently. But either way, we know for a fact that come Borderlands 4, we are going to be on that planet and we are going to be laying waste to the population of this new world. And while shooting ridiculous amounts of guns that can do ridiculous things is always fun, it's also the skills that make these classes stand out. So what can we expect from the Bounty Hunter? Taking a leaf out of the Borderlands 3 book, I would wager that these new Vault Hunters would have multiple action skills, each one assigned to a different skill tree and can be augmented in a variety of ways as you progress through each skill tree. But the Bounty Hunter's default action skill is called Deadeye. You see, the Bounty Hunter has an augmented reality implant in his right eye, allowing him to mark enemies and place a bounty on them, letting him track them for a short while, even behind cover, and dealing increased damage against his bounty. The targets behind cover can be shot through walls, with damage being reduced depending on the thickness of the cover and the level of a skill called Nowhere to Hide, which decreases the damage reduction of bullets passing through walls. This allows the Bounty Hunter to apply constant pressure to enemies, as I'm assuming that the technical advancements of Borderlands 4 will see larger waves of enemies spawning at any given time in any given area. Being constantly able to apply pressure through chip damage by shooting enemies through cover means that the Bounty Hunter would really reward a more aggressive playstyle. And I think it would also go without saying that this skill would allow you not to just shoot through walls, but shoot through other enemies as well. The second action skill the Bounty Hunter has access to is called Face in the Crowd, which is a twist on the typical invisibility skill that most of the sniper characters have. With this, the Bounty Hunter deploys a hologram projector drone to make themselves look like a relevant enemy type to the area and planet that they are on. This will allow them to move through enemy groups and place themselves in a more advantageous position. You can then combine this with another skill called One in the Back, where enemies that are not aggroed take increased damage from behind. The drawback to this is that if an enemy sees you deploy the hologram projector, they're going to immediately know you're not one of them. So the Bounty Hunter would have to fall back or hide behind something before activating the skill to get any value from it. And while Facing the Crowd will have a natural duration, Facing the Crowd can be ended early by firing your weapon or hitting an enemy with a melee attack. I think this could synergize quite well with the Siren ability I proposed in my last video, Phase Gate, as if you're hiding behind cover, you can activate Facing the Crowd and then have the Siren drop you behind the enemies, so they don't even see you emerge from cover and casually shamble up the way towards them, minimizing the risk of being found out and allowing you to get a little bit more value from this action skill. The final skill I would like to propose to you all is called BOLO. The BOLO skill allows for up to 3 projectiles to be thrown towards enemies, incapacitating them for a short duration. And as you'd expect, during this time, the downed enemy would take increased damage, or if it's a larger elite type enemy or a badass, it can either temporarily disable them from attacking, slow them down drastically, or prevent some enemies from raising shields. The I am Bolo Man skill allows for an additional 2 bolos to be carried at the same time, and the Alive was never an option skill augment would see the bolo turn into some kind of deadly laser boomerang that can hit multiple targets at once, gaining an increase in damage with every enemy it hits, leading to the possibility of quite literally cutting enemies in half. Now this would be really handy with mobbing and crowd control, being able to apply damage to a large group of enemies, making it easier for your teammates to finish them off, all while having a rewarding payoff by being able to cut the last few enemies in that chain down. I envision the Bounty Hunter to be a more aggressive class to play as, one that rewards applying constant pressure to enemies, constantly dealing damage. And while this doesn't fit your typical sniper archetype that we've seen in previous games, the fact that you can mark enemies for increased damage, the fact that you can still kind of turn invisible and sneak through enemies, I think this is more in line and in spirit of the previous sniper classes, all while giving it a more offensive and forward momentum based playstyle. And skills like Nowhere to Run that increase movement speed while reloading means you can keep pressing forward even when you're not able to typically deal damage, allowing you to close the gap between you and your prey. The skill Bag'em and Tag'em allows the Bounty Hunter to gain Headhunter stacks that increases critical damage and fire rate with each stack gained, and these stacks are gained every time you kill a marked target, but you lose a stack if you kill a target that isn't marked. And eventually, the Lasso skill converts your melee attack into a non-lethal ranged grapple that either brings enemies to you or you to them, depending on how big they are. Now, this could just be my bias, but I'd like to think that this is a good blend of previous sniper class skills and abilities, while sprinkling in a little bit of Zane that rewards a run and gun playstyle, that rewards speedy violence, but then also rewards accuracy and cunning. And I really should have prefaced this at the beginning of the video like I did with the Siren video. None of this will happen. This is all entirely headcanon. The chance of any of this being correct or implemented is so close to zero that I don't think there's enough zeros I could put before the point 1 to demonstrate this. I just wanted my imagination to run wild for a little bit, and seeing the support that the Siren video has gotten over the last week has only really put that into overdrive. And while I might make other videos down the line on other classes I think would be cool to have in Borderlands 4 or just the Borderlands 4 series, for now I just have one more video planned talking about the 7th Siren before I move on to other things. And I understand that the vast majority of people who have subscribed over the last week are probably only here for Borderlands 4 content, but I think the videos I'm working on you might really enjoy as well. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. Once again, thank you so much for the support on the Borderlands 4 video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!